All right, good afternoon, good evening. 6:21 Eastern Standard Time here in Michigan, day 42 of the Vegan 300 Challenge. We're on our way to 100,000 repetitions. After today, we'll be at 12.7% complete. That means 12,700 total repetitions complete, 4,200 of each strict push-ups with dumbbells, dumbbell swings overhead, and dumbbell front squats with 25 pounds. So we're back at it. And today's comment is from Facebook. And just to give you a little context on this was a post in a kind of like a vegan animal non-vegan debate group. And what they talked about, or a video, or it was an article based on them not allowing, or them removing the ability to train military medics with animals, with pigs. So they, in a great win for animal rights, they're no longer allowed to use pigs in medical training for the military, which is a huge win in the case of animal rights. And so just a comment there for those that don't know. She says pigs are used because of their anatomically very close to humans. The animal is fully anesthesia, anesthetis. I think that means anesthesia, right? Like, so completely, asleep, feels no pain. The animal is not allowed to wake up, but it then is quietly euthanized after. And then while it might be considered abhorrent, I don't think it's cruel or inhumane. However, the fact that they're found a substitute is certainly a step forward. I think this is a huge win. In fact, why? And my thought is that it's unnecessary, number one, right? It's unnecessary to do so. And now, like, the technology is so advanced that we absolutely can use computers or real life or realistic humans or robots, or something that simulates what they'll experience on the battlefield, instead of using real animals who have an experience and they don't need to die. So my first question is, like, if you don't think this is cruel or inhumane, what if it was done to humans? What if, we put humans asleep, they felt no pain, and then we practice on them, and then we quietly killed them after. So they felt no pain, but they ultimately ended up dying after. Is that okay? Would that be okay? And I think the clear answer is absolutely not. That's not okay. So after my comment, what if they did this to humans? Tom Streeter on this side, he says, what if Bob wore red shirt on Tuesday? You can what if until the proverbial cows come home, but it still doesn't answer the question, what has a higher priority, the hogs, the pigs, or the hundreds of human lives the hogs will save? And you can see my response below. I said, Bob wearing a red shirt on Tuesday doesn't harm or kill an animal, Tom. So, this is a big deal. I mean, obviously the connection that he's trying to make is, what if. You can what if all day long, but sorry, your what if doesn't affect or kill an animal who has an experience. All right. And then talking about a higher priority, it's looking at it from whose perspective. And this is the whole deal with animal rights. It's like, speciesism is saying that we can do whatever we want. The human race, or the human people, can do whatever we want because it's just a hog, it's just a pig. So whatever. And if we can save humans and sacrifice pigs for practice, then humans have a higher priority. And so that's the right answer. That's a good thing in Tom's eyes. And I think a lot of other people think like Tom as well. But there's a problem. It's looking at it from the human's perspective. Now, let's look at it from the hog's perspective, the individual hog's perspective, of them getting killed and ending their life so that the the military medical team can practice. And what if they receive this, wound, and they can practice, and so it's realistic, or as realistic as it could get with a pig or with an animal. And so when the real life comes, that they're able to do a good job or hopefully save the human in in the battlefield. But again, we're looking at it from, the eyes of us and what's beneficial for humans. And we're not looking at it from the pig's perspective, right? The individual life of that pig. That pig cares about its life and its experience, having an experience. And why do we want to end that experience? Just so we can, I'm going to say, hopefully, and train and practice on real life. Absolutely, this is a great win for, I mean, I'm going to say the pigs and all animals. So we're no longer using animals in the medical field or in the military as practice. We're just saying that their life, this is a huge win, saying that their lives matter enough to where we don't need to practice. We can use other means, other, robots or other, artificial means and practice that way. So, sorry, Tom. I mean, again, you're clearly a speciesist, as with many people, and saying who has a higher priority, and this is something that we have to look at it from the other person's point of view, or the other animal's point of view, the other perspective, or the victim's perspective. And that's why when we look at it from the victim's perspective, absolutely, this is a huge win. That's the saying, like, there's no longer going to be victims as training bodies and losing their life so the military medical team can practice. So huge win for the pigs in my eyes, and I think a lot of other animal rights activists' eyes. So, yeah, I mean, that's a huge win. So I just think it's interesting. I mean, Tom talking about, what if Bob wore a red shirt on Tuesday? That analogy, that comparison doesn't it's not the same. It's not apples to apples here because, Bob wearing a red shirt on Tuesday does not kill or end an animal's life. You know what I mean? So, Tom, that's a good try, but that's not adding up. So, and then who has a higher priority? Again, we're not talking, we're talking the, who, from whose perspective, and we have to look at it from the victim's perspective. And in this case, right, for training purposes, if we can use artificial means or a practice dummy or a robot or something that does not feel pain or does not have an experience, let's use that. Let's absolutely go that direction. So huge win in my eyes and in the pig's eyes and animals' lives and the animal rights activists' eyes. All right, so I think that that's a huge win. And again, a higher priority is, like, that is just speciesism in a nutshell, saying that the humans can do whatever we want because, all hogs are the same. A hog is a hog and all hogs are the same. All pigs and they're all pigs are the same, and it's not a big deal. And of course it's cruel. Of course it's inhumane because it's not necessary. So, like, yeah, I mean, someone made the decision that we would practice, and I'm going to say hopefully in that training panned out and we were able to save human lives. But, it's 2026. We can make and, design something that, again, doesn't use an animal's life as practice. And so, why wouldn't we? So I agree with the comment here, I think from Jasmine. Um, a substitute is certainly a step forward. It's a huge step forward, saying that it's, that we're not able or we're not allowed to use or no longer going to use animals in the medical field as far as practice in the military. I mean, it's just it's a terrible thing to do. So hope that helps. Hope that answers that question or gives my perspective on it. I'm going to close that out. I'll leave this one up from Tom, and we're going to get after this workout. All right. So vegan 300. Um, I got some good comments going on YouTube. Hopefully we'll see if I get some responses. I'll comment on that tomorrow. I'll use that as my response for tomorrow. Tomorrow going to Vegas, so this is, I think I'll work out tomorrow morning or during the day before we fly out to Vegas. But then the next day on Saturday, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. We'll see. Got 4 days to be able to to try to do this workout and keep it going, away from here. So not going to see me in the garage gym. All right, so again, why we're doing the vegan 300 pounds of meat are eaten every single year by the average person. So we're raising awareness. We're doing 300 repetitions each day or up until we get to 100,000 repetitions. We're on day 42. We still got a long way to go. This is, I think, my third or fourth day of wearing this elbow brace. It does seem to be helping. And again, I'm not lowering the weight, so we're sticking to 25 pounds dumbbells, and we'll get it going. So if you do have a comment, please drop it, and then I'll go ahead and respond to it. I was getting a lot of comments yesterday. A lot of people were, I wouldn't call them trolls, but from August and you be clearly, and I think there were some other folks there. I know Ninja came in there, dropped some comments. So we're just gonna get after this one. Can't see me there. Ah, 25 pounds. I'll get my clicker out in case I lose track. All right. Let's rock and roll. Let's rock and roll. But it's interesting. I think it's a huge win. I didn't even know that the government did that. They ended the animal, using animals as practice dummies and then ending their life. It's a huge win. Huge win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 32 degrees in here. I think it says 40 on the description. Left it from yesterday. But I will say it is warming up here in Michigan. Vegas is supposed to be like 66, which is it's gonna feel great. So excited for a little warmer climate. There's a stretch here that man, it was cold. Remember that workout? It was like negative 16 degrees. Crazy. All right, 2 rounds through. Here we go. Just got to keep chipping away at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, Halfway. All right, 5 rounds complete. 5 more to go. One, two, three, four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Excuse me. All right, 6 rounds done. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Finishing up round 7. If you got a comment, I'll post it. I'll respond to it. All right, 7 rounds through. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10. Eight rounds in. Got 2 more to go. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9, 10. All right, 9 rounds complete. We're on our last round here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Last one. 100. Another 100 in the books. Count it. Last row right here. 10 cows on the row. We'll be done. Hundred. 26, 34. Another day in the books. We're done. Hey, what's going on? Good evening. 7 o'clock here. Just finished up day 42. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to drop a comment, I'll post it. I'll respond to them all. If you want to come on live, link is in the description. I got some time. So feel free to drop a comment or click the link. I'll let you in. You can come on live. We can discuss. We could discuss whatever. You can ask me questions. You could debate me. I won't bite. I think it'll bring a lot of value. I think, again, answering in like live discussion type format for me is much better than responding to comments. But you know, if that's all I got, I can't force you guys to come on. But I got some time. I'm encouraging you to. I'm even bringing up my bench. I'll sit down. I'll sit down for you guys. So making some time. I will say day 42, you know, other than this, you know, and I got to ice it. I got my ice thing. It came today from Amazon. So I'm going to try that out. It's in the freezer now, but so far, I mean, this feels good. It feels weird, but it is giving some support, you know. What's going on? Hey, drop a comment, please. Drop a comment. I'll post it. I'll respond to it. If you have a question, if you want me to answer something, No matter how ridiculous it is, I'll post it. But I was, um, is it? Yeah. So I'll leave this up there. This is what I was responding to earlier. Big win for the animals today. I'm not sure when it happened, but in the military, and again, I'm a former Navy. I'm a veteran in the United States Navy. You can see the Naval Academy flag right here. And so, but big win. So medics, right? We're always training. We're always preparing for battle. Always preparing for, the worst case scenario. And the medics on the battlefield, right? They got to, they're going to see wounds. They're going to see um, sucking chest wounds. They're going to see some pretty bad stuff if you see anyone get shot or, right? So on the battlefield, you want to simulate that as best you can. So a lot of training, a lot of simulation that happens in the military. And so one of the things that I didn't even realize, but in the military, they use pigs because of the anatomically very close to humans. So, their hearts, their valves. I mean, that's why I think, you see a lot of, pig valves or replacements in humans that come from pigs because they're very similar. But they actually, they gave the pigs anesthesia. So they kind of knocked them out. They didn't feel any pain. And then they practiced on them. They opened the wounds up and they practiced on them and they stitched them up or, and they did, they practiced on them. But after they euthanized them, so after say the session was over, they killed these pigs. So these pigs were never going to survive, the training. And so, and if you think about it, it's not necessary. I mean, it's 2026. You can use robots. I mean, talk to Elon Musk. He's got robots. You've got people that can design or come up with a realistic or mostly realistic or real life scenario with with a human body or programming or computers, and um so what they did was they made it illegal, or they're no longer allowed to use animals in this training. So huge win for the animals, especially the pigs that were in this training. And Jasmine, who posted this was in a Facebook group. And so she said she doesn't think it's cruel or inhumane. However, the fact that they found a substitute is certainly a step forward. I would agree with that last comment. Certainly a step forward. I mean, keep going, but it's a huge win for the pigs. And so, abhorrent, it's not cruel or inhumane. And to me, it absolutely is, because it's not necessary. It's absolutely cruel. We're ending this pig's life, and it's not necessary. We don't need to use a pig in that situation. And so right here, and when Tom commented, I basically said, would it be okay? What if we were to do this to humans? What if we, most realistic training would be to use a human, whether it's, whatever type of human, but realistically the body, and do the same thing that we're doing to pigs to humans. Would that be inhumane? Would that be cruel? And I think the answer is absolutely yes. It would be cruel. It would be inhumane. And especially because it's not necessary. It's training. And so Tom responded, what if Bob wore a shirt on Tuesday? And basically calling me out and said, what if this? What if that? Well, Bob wearing a red shirt on Tuesday doesn't harm or kill an animal. So that's irrelevant. So the analogy there, the comparison, is pretty ridiculous in my opinion. And obviously Tom's a big hunter and meat eater, and so Tom makes a lot of comments like this and goes after me every time I make a comment like this. But he's saying, you can what if all you want, basically. And he says, what has a higher priority, the hogs or the hundreds of human lives the hogs will save? Well, first of all, and that's to say that a sacrifice or the pig training is going to result in hundreds of lives saved in the military. And I don't think that that's true, nor can you make that statement. I don't think that that's guaranteed. And I think it's might be good to think that, but that's not a true correlation. Like, it's not guaranteed that it's gonna one pig or being a pig being killed is going to save hundreds of humans. So I think that that's not a true statement. But the problem with his statement is that who has the higher priority, the hogs or the humans? And my response is, from whose perspective? And of course, a lot of us and most of us go right to, you know, like our perspective. How does it benefit us, or how does it benefit me? We rarely ever put ourselves in the victim's shoes or from the victim's perspective. And so, looking at it from the hog's or the pig's perspective, the individual hog or pig that is being killed and used for this training in the military, who is ultimately going to die, like, whose priority matters when it's looking at it from the victims or from the hogs or pigs perspective? Of course, the pig or the hog is going to want and inherently not want to get killed, not want to be caused pain or suffering. Now, in this situation, they're put asleep, and technically they're not caused any pain or suffering, or so we, I mean, as best as we can. But the ultimate end of it is the pig is dying. The pig is ultimately losing its life so that the humans can train. So it's not necessary. And so it's 2026. It's a huge win for the pigs because we have the technology, we have the smarts, we have the ability to create a program or a computer or a system more realistic than a pig who actually has an experience, who actually cares for, and what happens to that individual animal, to that pig. So I mean, this is really speciesism defined. Tom is basically saying that he's a speciesist, and the humans' lives matter more and have a higher priority than the individual pig's life. So, I mean, and that's basically the animal rights perspective is that that pig deserves the right to its own life. And the humans, just because we're humans, or we can do it, we're mighty, and we can do it, like, doesn't make it moral to do so. And so that's speciesism defined right here. Tom helps us define what speciesism is. And to me, it's not the right decision. So it's a huge win to remove the ability for the military to continue to use animals in this way. So huge win. So that's my comment on that. That's my whole perspective on doing that. So what do you think about this? So the military medics, um, I think that's a huge win. So, I mean, it's 2026. I mean, just like using and killing animals for food. I mean, it's the same situation. It's not necessary. We do not need to practice, and we do not need to taste, steak, or taste chicken wings or chicken thighs or chicken breasts. We don't need that. Just like we don't need to train for the military for battle wounds. We can use fake training. We can use simulations. We can and just like food, you can eat plants. You can eat mock meat. You can use lab grown meat. That's not affecting the animal. You can do all these things. It's 2026. So why do we continue to kill animals for food, to kill animals for training, to kill animals for leather, for couches or shoes, for coats, for wool? Why do we do it? Think about it. And I mean, I know why we do it. It's for money, it's for profit. These huge industries, these huge businesses continue to thrive and make a lot of money off of this. And we're addicted to these things, right? And it's just it's all around us. It's normal. You can't go up and down any street within 2 miles of your home without running into a fast food restaurant that sells hundreds of flesh, of burgers and chicken wings. There's Raising Cane's. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Raising Cane's, huge chicken place, open up in Grand Rapids. I think they're opening up a second location, but you should have saw when the opening day, there was lines, I mean, miles and miles long, just to get, the flesh and body parts of chickens. Like I mean, we are so addicted. We are so like just we're not thinking about what these animals go through in order for us to get chicken wings or chicken thighs or boneless chicken wings. Like it's pretty, I mean, it's terrible when you think about it. But that's why I'm out here. I'm sharing the message because I want you to think differently. And a lot of people don't think that you can even survive or be strong, fit, and healthy without eating animals, without eating chicken, because meat is protein, right? So I've responded to this comment before. Meat is protein. Meat is not protein. Meat is the flesh of an animal. Payment received from Verizon. Awesome. That's good. Recently switched over to Verizon. All right, guys. That answers that. Day 42, day 43 tomorrow. Again, traveling to Vegas, but we'll get one in before we go. All right. Appreciate your comments. None today, but thanks for stopping in. We'll see you tomorrow, day 43. Peace.